All right, ladies and gentlemen, super smooth cuts there from the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack, as it should be. Sean, welcome back. How has your little break gone?
Oh, it's so good. I've been consuming exorbitant amounts of pizza and fantasizing about all the possible strategy interactions that could be happening in this next match.
Damn right.
Because, I mean, honestly, Ghostly known for his phenomenal Zerg vs. Terran in Wings of Liberty, carrying over to Heart of the Swarm, and we've been seeing non-stop crazy aggression attacking out of Drunkenboi, so I'm excited to see those two action figures play together.
Damn right. And now we get to hear from both of them. Ghostly, welcome back.
Hello.
Well, your first match was fairly close, I've got to say. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it was kind of close too. I mean, Henderlisk is pretty good, and I knew that'd be my toughest opponent going into this.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Drunkenboi, you seem to dispatch your teammate quite readily there. Game 1, very aggressive drop. Neve just fell to pieces. Game 2, a little bit more of a traditional, more drawn-out tank war there on the ground. How are you feeling going up against Ghostly, though? TVT is one thing, but this is Zerg vs. Terran against a very strong opponent.
I'm feeling pretty good. TVZ seems really in balance right now for Terran.
Okay. Now, you are known for these really aggressive builds against Zerg. I don't want you to reveal anything, of course, but I've got to ask, do you intend to, I suppose, throw the first punch against Ghostly?
Most likely, yes.
Alright, okay, good to know. So I think that's what people were really expecting. Now, Ghostly, you've been adding a lot of Korean Terrans to your list, I've been told, and you've been pretty successful even in Heart of the Swarm as well. A lot of people were throwing around the term patch Zerg, and you quickly proved them wrong, which is good to see. So, since you've got a bunch of dead Korean Terrans sitting on your list, I've got to ask, how do you plan on dealing with a Canadian Terran from FXO?
It's gonna be pretty easy, I think. I've played him some on ladder. I know some of his builds. I know what styles he likes to play. I'm just going to counter everything he does. It's gonna look bad, and no one's gonna think he's a good player afterwards.
Jesus.
Ouch. Ouch. Henry, come on. You've got to have a response to that, surely. I mean, that's one big arrogant Zerg target. I mean, he's sitting in France, the country of arrogance. Surely you must have a response.
Well, I chose Mia on your team, so I think Ghostly should be much easier.
That's just low, man. Like, I should dock you a point just for saying that. But no, that's very, very true. You did very much deal with Mia, and that was impressive play. So let's see if you can actually repeat that. All right, Ghostly, any final words for Drunkenboi?
I'm kind of disappointed I had to play him, because I'd prepared some cool things that I've never shown before, but I think because Drunkenboi's style, I'm just gonna have to counter him instead of doing what I want to do. But it's okay. Maybe I'll show it later in the tournament.
Alright, good to know. Drunkenboi, any final words before we go into the first map?
No, I guess 2-0 again. Make it out of the group.
Okay. Let's see if you can do it. One of you guys is going through to the round of 8, and the money gets pretty high after that, and one of you will go down to the lower bracket. Guys, thank you very much. To your stations, please. We will be going into this match very shortly, and the first map is going to be Akalon Waste. So, Sean, I think Ghostly maybe wins the trash talk there, but I'm a little bit biased against Drunkenboi because he did remind me that he did beat one of our teammates, so maybe I'm just bitter about that.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting blow, man. Because Ghostly's just like, I'm going to beat you, Drunkenboi. And then Drunkenboi's like, listen, TotalBiscuit, I killed one of your team members. And
I'm
it's
like,
like,
what?
Whoa! I mean, psychologists, they call that projection, man. He's just dealing the blow out to you because he's trying to figure out the best way to deal it back to Ghostly, which I assume is going to be in the next game, which I would presume as much. I think that's really telling, though, Ghostly's comment, where he's like, well, I have stuff that I want to do, but I can't do it because I'm against Drunkenboi. And that is the power of being like the aggressive player. Because normally, you just kind of ignore who your opponent is, and you know, okay, Terran can only do so many things. But if you're against someone who's really stretching the limits of the race, you tend to hole up and be a little more defensive, make a couple extra Zerglings instead of a few drones, take that expansion a little later, build the extra spine crawler, and all those things add up a lot. And I think that that's what's really working in Drunkenboi's favor there.
Yeah, there's also the expectation, isn't there? Because Drunkenboi now has a reputation for this, he can do exactly the opposite and completely mind game his opponent. Looks like we're about ready to rock and roll. We're just going to check that both of these guys are ready. We'll go on the first map, Akalon Wastes. Like, I just like Akalon Wastes. I just think it's a great map in general.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's pretty gruesome defending angles for Zerg. You have to be very, very careful with your pre-positioning because obviously Zerg wants to surround and come in from as many angles as possible. And a lot of the Terran movement will try to corral the Zerg into one location. Try to make them all pull to the west or all pull to the north. And suddenly, there are so many locations where if you pinch them off, you cannot be surrounded. You have forced the Zerg into one angle of engagement. Really, really cool.
Very, very true. Okay, here we are, folks. We're on Akalon Wastes for our first TVZ of the day. I'm looking forward to this. This is my favorite matchup, and these are two great players to be doing it. So, to the southeast position in the Red Trunks, playing Zerg, he is
Millenium
and his opponent to the northwest position, who took out his teammate quite handily and mercilessly, really, to get to this point, so who knows what's coming out of him. Known for his one-base builds, what will we see from
FXODrunkenboi.
You know, I gotta say, TB, one of the most significant moments is coming up right about now. Will Drunkenboi go for that gas? Is he going to go for Barracks gas? I anticipate he's probably going to open up with the very standard Reaper play on this map, but how he decides to follow up from there is going to be huge. Yep, there it is. There's the Reaper.
Yep.
12 Barracks, 12 Refinery.
Yep, I actually started using this build on ladder, and my success rate against Terran versus Zerg in, obviously, crappy league is amazing as a result. It's a great build. It's wonderful opening.
So much control, and I mean, honestly, the Reaper's really important at extremely high levels, but at the end of the day, it really is 50 minerals and 50 gas. It's not a tremendous investment. Can scout, can deal damage, can make the Zerg build extra lings, build extra spine crawlers, and all the while this is going on, you still have not invested that many minerals. So I think it is one of the most flexible, basic skeleton openings in the game.
I would have to agree. And as a result, we do see Zerg trying to adapt to it as best they can, but there's really only so much you can do. Because this Reaper, unless you have a 10 pool, which would be weird anyway, and you're probably still not going to be able to get the speed out in time, you're going to get hit by this Reaper in some way. And it's not really up to you to save your units. We've seen a lot of Zerg now turning their units into... Oh, Ghostsir actually gets a scout here, which he really shouldn't have had. Drunkenboi actually left that depot open. Anyway, the Zerg, we've seen quite a few of them start to turn their drones into buildings. And, ooh, gas steel here for Ghostsir as well. And just use that to try and keep their workers alive a little bit longer, but a lot of them have just said, you know, it's not actually worth it because the cancellation cost is just too high. It's better just to kind of eat it and then kill the Reaper. What do you reckon?
I'm torn on your question, and I'm honestly super focused on what the read could possibly be from Ghostsir in this position, knowing that he's picked off the gas. I mean, as you're talking about with the Reaper, you're getting a lot of use trying to pick off the Reaper. Maybe you can commit to try to kill it off, but I think that making any commitment just to deal with the Reaper is incorrect. It's probably better to just accept that there will be some damage and to try to deal with whatever his next step play is. Like, this is great defense by Ghostsir, building all these structures, and yet he has not committed anything to killing off the Reaper. The big question, though, is can you exploit the follow-up that's going to be coming out of your opponent? So given that Ghostsir stole this extractor, it's like 99% going to be a Hellion 3rd Command Center follow-up. So what does this mean? Ghostsir can floodlings, can get the surround both on the Reaper and the Hellions, which I think is going to be the correct play here. And there's really not that much that Drunkenboi can do about it.
Yeah, and Drunkenboi actually does not get the scout with these Reapers. Like, he's had to use the Reapers to get rid of this extractor, which, unfortunately, they don't have their grenades anymore, so it takes about 5 years.
Oh, and look at this. A Roach Warren.
I like this. I think this is the... Honestly, in HOTS, I think this is the first time I've ever seen a Zerg actually go for that gas steal. To be fair, he shouldn't have been able to do it, because that depot was down, whereas it shouldn't have been.
Well, I mean, sometimes the Terran player thinks, well, I have Reapers. I may as well let you up into the main and trap you and get one guaranteed kill with this Reaper,
Yeah,
which sometimes gets 0 kills. But like you're saying, first time I think I've ever seen it in HOTS.
Yeah, and it's sneaky as well. I don't know if Drunkenboi's response was the correct one here, but what do you reckon to actually using the Reapers to kill that? Because obviously it takes so long, and you completely lose that ability to gain early map control. Is it even worth it?
I think it's okay, given the follow-up from Drunkenboi, which is a build that does not require any map control. I actually think that this is brilliant from Drunkenboi. This is exactly how Bomber plays. Bomber goes for this very fast factory. Look how quickly that tank comes out. This deals with the Roach Baneling busts that have been incredibly popular as of late.
Yes.
And honestly, Marine Tank is super strong anyways. And wow, now Drunkenboi goes back. Okay, ignore everything I was saying. Is he actually going to go mines?
That would be interesting. It's... I don't necessarily... no, it's Hellions. Okay, interesting.
Huh.
Hellion Marauder coming out right now from Drunkenboi. That's curious.
I really think it would have been much stronger to stick with Marine Tank and begin his upgrades incredibly early. He would have been having a killer 2-2 push. And now in this circumstance, he's essentially sort of sabotaged the effectiveness of those Hellions by making them so late.
Yeah.
And kind of has this tank that's not even going to be very strong in his future composition.
It is a weird one. Mines would have made a little bit more sense. I'm always in two minds about mines against mines. Wow, I'm almost in two minds about mines simply because it's nice because you are dealing with roaches that have very low range. So the roaches can't really pick the mines off very effectively, and they're pretty much going to get hit regardless. The flip side of that is that they don't die to mines. Like, they can actually take a hit. And mines end up being, you can just tank them and take them out of the equation quite easily. But it would have been better than Hellions, I think. Hellions is a very odd choice, I feel, in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, by any measure, this is going to be terrible to just get these 6 Hellions now. I mean, he's seeing roaches.
Yeah.
He sees what his opponent's tech is. I mean, most prudent Terrans would have just said, oh, well, crap, I mean, I guess I missed my window for Hellions. And then, yeah, I built 2, but, you know, whatever. But here, making it up to 6, even after seeing it, this is going to come back to haunt him. Ghostly I think, is very smart, saying that he is just going to play very standard play, not going to be overcommittal. And I love this, getting +1/+1 for Zerglings rather than Roaches. He is planning for the late game.
Yeah. He probably wants to play that Ultraling style that we've seen be very prevalent and very potent. It has easily replaced Broodlord Infestor as the style of choice. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and it just wrecks everything with a Terran name attached to it. It does so much damage, and then if you go super late game, you get the Queen swell behind it, and those Ultras just don't die.
Wow, what a weird composition from Drunkenboi. Looking at the buildings in his main. I mean, this factory with a tech lab is particularly odd. I mean, is he actually going to go back into tank production now? He hasn't gotten reactors on those other 2 barracks as he's taking his 3rd command center. It's pretty odd in this position.
This Reaper has done quite something, really, and it's actually going to live through this as well. It might even spot the 4th base going through, and Ghostly is now moving back to kill the Reaper. He's got to get rid of it. It's been so annoying. It's been a really effective scout. It's actually got itself 6 kills, 7 kills now. It's dead now, you know. Brave Reaper finally falls flat on its face, but he's done well with it. Drunkenboi now takes his 3rd base. The 4th is, of course, fully established for Ghostly User. I think he was even looking to take a 5th. Oh, never mind. He's taking his 4th down there to where you see a lot of people take their 3rd base. But, as you said, the Hellion choice is very, very strange. But the funny thing is, the longer this goes on, it's almost like Drunkenboi said, you know, I don't believe you when you build those roaches. I don't think you're actually going to commit to that. I think, really, you're going to play Ultra Ling, and what we're going to see is a lot more Zerglings out, and then those Hellions will really come into their own, and then the Marauders will do really well against that. And funnily enough, the longer this goes on, the Ghost User's composition actually gets into a position where Drunkenboi actually has what he needs to kill it.
Yeah, Drunkenboi is actually getting a real big amount of Tech Lab barracks at this early stage. Most players like to get the 5 barracks with Reactor, and then begin incorporating more Tech Lab. Of course, that all is predicated upon this 13 to 14 minute push, which is also very, very common with the biomine style play. But I think that, like you're saying, Ghost User is kind of feeling in a little bit of an awkward spot. I mean, he made a lot of roaches, and Roaches are the worst unit in the game, and I don't mean like they're actually bad, but you know, it's like one of those really up and down relationships where, you know, early game you build them and you're like, oh, this feels so good. They can stop everything. They're even good against marauders in small numbers, and then late game they literally do nothing, and you're like, why am I still with you?
What a great analogy. And right now, we're going to be seeing an old flame here from Drunkenboi push his way forward, getting Widow Mines into position. He's going to set up this nasty contain, and of course, this drop's going to come in as well. Now, thankfully for Goswser, he should be alright against this. There is some stack defense, but it is a double drop, and that Infestor's actually going to the front line right now. Baneling's now moving into engage, and this is getting really funky all of a sudden, because this drop by Drunkenboi is going to take the spawning pool out.
Uh-oh, it's down to half health. The Zerglings are streaming in, and see you later. It is gone. Banelings, Roaches, Lings all roll right in. And look at this nice timing. The Hellions have started to move up to the 4th base. They see the Greater Spire. It looks like the Infestors are going to try to throw down a Fungal Growth, and they do get an amazing hit. Zerglings stream on in, but Drunkenboi continues to drop at the backside, and Roaches, I mean, what are they even doing there?
They're not doing much, you know, they're hanging around on the couch because they just can't be bothered to pick up their possessions and actually get out and find their own place. And honestly, Drunkenboi did so much damage with those Marines. It was actually really impressive to watch. He killed 12 workers, he killed the spawning pool, and he saw the Greater Spire. You know, Greater Spire, of course, being a really weird choice. It's not favored that much anymore against Terran.
I mean, this is the sort of thing that works very well against a bio-mine player, but against a kind of more traditional Marine tank player doesn't have a lot of strength. And look at the army moving on in. I mean, Goswser is in a world of trouble. It's actually down 150 supply. All of those Marine Marauder are now darting up to the front line. There's going to be nothing that Goswser can do. He just did the wrong build at the wrong time and is being punished violently for it.
Little bit. That was possibly the worst tank micro I've ever seen, but it's okay. Drunkenboi is actually doing a great job here, doing a lot of damage, killing a lot of units, but he hasn't really done that much to the economy, and that maybe is the saving grace of Goswser right now. The fact that these drones are still alive. He's still on 77 versus 64. That's about to change because Drunkenboi's gone in there with these Marines. These guys aren't even alive. These are zombie Marines. They've got 2 HP left. They're going to die to like 1 Zergling. But they have still managed to kill a bunch of drones. And as I was talking about that worker count, there's now 28 workers killed. Now Drunkenboi takes the economic lead.
Wow, that is a... I mean, Drunkenboi might not have the most refined builds or the most perfect macro, but my god, his broad decision-making in weird circumstances is phenomenal. I mean, these attack timings, recognizing what the correct units to build are, recognizing to go Hellions, but then to not attack, really crazy. But Goswser having some fantastic positioning up here on the high ground. All the Marines are going to go down.
Yeah, and the Infestation Pit's going to live as well, which is absolutely massive here. You can still play Broodlord Infestor. It still works. It's just not quite as good as it used to be. He lost a couple of Broodlords, but he was able to successfully defend against that. And Drunkenboi's army is not that big. He's only got a couple of tanks, 1 Viking, and 37 Marines now. A couple of mines that haven't really done anything. But this means that Goswser can start to power forward, and he's actually going to transition to Ultra, which is, of course, exactly what he should have done. But he didn't have the time. It's obvious he wanted to play Ultra Lane, but he was put in a position where he couldn't. If he tried to go Ultra Lane, I think he would have just died. He wouldn't have got enough units out. There were too many Marauders available. It would have been shut down. But because he went Broodlord Infestor, and now is going to go Ultralisk Ling with 3-3, this might work out a lot better. But he's still under a lot of pressure here from Drunkenboi, who now drops into the main base. That's going to get cleaned up really quickly, though.
A very unsuccessful drop. Ouch, even losing a handful of those Marines before they get to pick up.
Yeah.
I do strongly think that... Oh my god, another nice tactical move by Drunkenboi. Not even a drop, just walking into the 3rd base.
Yeah, and then drops back in the main again, and that's a great position as well. He's going to kill so much with +3. That's really, really good. Quick lift up. Drunkenboi playing so well here, and is continuing to do as much damage as possible. And it's just Marines. You know, a 4-base Terran can afford to do this with Marines, as long as he doesn't lose the Medivacs, which he's currently not losing, so that's good.
Look at that macro from Drunkenboi. Jeez, huge pack Marine tank heading down to mid-map, where weirdly enough, these 2 tanks have not died. That is crazy that those are still alive, but those 2 tanks are the reason why we're seeing Drunkenboi able to drop into the main. Now, in this circumstance, Drunkenboi needs to ask himself the question, have I done enough damage to my opponent to where I am ahead in army? And if he says yes, then he needs to stop all dropping. He needs to stop getting cheeky and just push the front. He needs to punish this. There's the scan going down. He needs to siege real soon. And this is the engagement where Drunkenboi could pull ahead, but GoSuUser gets the fungals that he needs. Oh, the Ultralisk just wrecked down everything. Oh, man. GoSuUser with the amazing fungals, nailing every one of those Marines.
That was really nice. In the meantime, he did lose the economy at his third base. This is eventually going to get cleaned up, though, and GoSuUser now has Ultralisks on the field. He's got a good amount of Infestors as well to back this up. He even has one Broodlord. Just this one lone Broodlord that's just going to hang around with the Ultralisks and help them out. And this is a really scary army right now. We need to see that Marauder production put in again. We were seeing a lot of early Marauder production, but he transitioned into building nothing but Marines. He does have a Thor, which will help, but he's got no tanks.
Yeah, you know, I really feel like the reason that we're seeing Drunkenboi in this sort of sticky situation is that he did do that counterattack at the third. He is doing things like these Viking harassment. Okay, this Viking harassment drop at the south side is great, but that earlier split off of units is really dangerous. It can be really costly. You need to stay together with your units if you're up against the sort of composition that GoSuUser has, if you don't have a good defensive angle. So now Drunkenboi must get a phenomenal engagement angle to be in okay shape.
Yeah. He definitely should. And these rocks, I don't believe... Are they collapsed or not? It's hard to really tell. But one way... Oh, that was a nice catch. GoSuUser actually gets a fungal there with the Vikings, but doesn't kill him. Takes a little bit more than that. A couple of Vikings now moving in. Just kind of being annoying. GoSuUser is actually pulling back now. And that's going to give a little bit of time here to Drunkenboi. He's also getting Drilling Claws. Now, not an upgrade we see all that much.
It's the sort of upgrade that I like in this position. He needs to have more mobile armies. He needs to do a lot of kiting. So he needs to see the attack angle for Zerg on a dime and then burrow and retreat over it. So there he is trying to get those mines directly underneath the Broodlords. GoSuUser coming in. This is a great angle for GoSuUser. Gets the full surround. Oh my god. Flattens the army up against that central ridge. Only the north end of the Marine medevac composition manages to stay alive. The medevacs try to get back home as fast as they can, but man, GoSuUser is just wrecking. Per usual, Drunkenboi, though, does have a drop that will kill off an expansion.
Yep. He's picking at his opponent while trying to build that good composition, yeah? Trying to get those Marauders up, but I don't think GoSuUser is going to stop this time. I have a feeling he will actually go through to assault, or maybe he won't. That's interesting. Now, there's ventral sacks going on in the background here, which is, again, kind of an unusual idea. Drunkenboi, yeah, he'll be okay. He's not going to lose. Yeah, there we go. He's going to have to go out there. GoSuUser defends that. No, he is going to lose it. Nice catch. Oh, wow, man. Nice cold ball. GoSuUser catches him quite nicely there, but we should bear in mind, of course, Drunkenboi is still on 4 bases. He's building 2 more CCs. He can rebuild this army.
Yes, I mean, it's certainly not a one game for GoSuUser, although I would describe GoSuUser as having the advantage. I think it is brilliant for him to be going for the drop tech, because look at the army composition that we see from GoSuUser. Ultra, Corruptor, Infestor. Very, very slow, cannot attack and defend at the same time. What sort of composition are we seeing out of Drunkenboi? Even though it's defensive right now, that is an extremely aggressive army. So it's going to be the attacking Terran versus the defending Zerg. The drop means that he can just load up 8 Cracklings, drop them by an expansion, and kill off all the drones. That is going to be GoSuUser's ticket to denying expos.
A couple of scans go in. The weird thing about this is he didn't get Overlord speed. So he has Ventral Sacks, but no Overlord speed. So it will be the slowest and worst drop in the history of Zerg-kind. And nice little engagement there by Drunkenboi. Not great fungals. Oh man, GoSuUser donates a good 4 Infestors there. Gets a big fungal, but a second follow-up, and this army's dead.
But drops at the 3rd base and in the main base for Zerg. GoSuUser trying to pick off all those retreating Marauders, but there's a couple of mines in the way. Drunkenboi has yet to lift. Wow, Drunkenboi actually cleaned out the 3rd. I mean, Drunkenboi just attacks so much, and now this is a very, very good attack angle for Drunkenboi. He is doing enormous damage to those Ultralisks. I mean, that is a big fungal, but I don't think this Ultralist army is going to be alive for long at all, TotalBiscuit.
With that many Marauders on the field, yeah, the Ultras are dying now. This is a great concave. This Ultralisk is in the middle of nowhere, getting all the attention it definitely doesn't want right now. And the Hive died as well, and now he's dropped the Natural. Drunkenboi is everywhere right now.
Drunkenboi's tactical decision-making is amazing. I mean, he has not dropped a beat with any of these things. The real missing piece for GoSuUser is honestly Zerglings. He needs a lot more Zerglings to punish these engagements. He needs a lot better counter-harassment
Oh man,
to
does
be able to pick off these expansions. I mean, if Ghostwser lets this expansion pop up, he's going to be doomed.
Yep, he does still have... I thought he might not have a spawning pool anymore, but yeah, it looks like he does have one. That wasn't taken out. Oh, man. That's going to get surrounded. That's not going to be a planetary today, I'm afraid. Drunkenboi will, of course, try his best to prevent that. Ghostwser, with the mana denial, he builds a hatchery under his opponent's command center to prevent it from going down. That works, I guess.
Oh! Oh my god, big fungal and a lot of Zerglings moving in. This is the perfect composition right now for Ghostwser. He is just eliminating this army one piece at a time, and amazingly just does not quite have the Zerglings to finish this off. Oh no! Oh no, the command center is going to get up. He needs to fungal. No, not infested Terrans at the wrong possible time.
Not a good
infested Terrans.
Not a good decision. Those infested Terrans will die pretty much instantly now. That army and the planetary is now up, which is really, really important there. Drunkenboi in a great position now. Ghostwser actually bringing some Broodlords in, and that did pretty bad damage. Oh man, if there was only a couple more Corruptors, now they come in. A little bit too late. Drops onto the Broodlords.
Drops under the Broodlords right as the Corruptors arrive, cleaning up all the units inside. This is a really crazy battle. Both players literally rallying, but the Broodlords are in perfect position.
This is nuts. Drunkenboi picks up the infestation pit, now heading to his next target. This planetary is now up. He should be able to hold this. The Broodlord's caught out with no infestor support. Mana Mule's down. Wow.
Oh my gosh, what a game from Drunkenboi. I mean, this is the exact style that got him so far in WCS. The longer the game goes on, the better shape Drunkenboi seems to be in. Drunkenboi just seems to thrive in chaos.
He really, really does. He's now taken out the 4th base as well. GG, says Ghostwser. Drunkenboi plays the game of his life and takes his opponent to pieces, regardless of the fact that Ghostwser was ahead for most of that game.
That was insanity. I mean, Drunkenboi, you know, it's so easy to stop having real critical thinking in the middle of a game. You know, you're playing a biomine style, and you just say something like, okay, well, biomine players attack, so I better be attacking a lot. And you're attacking with too small groups, or in the wrong times, and maybe there's some times when you should actually defend. But, I mean, Drunkenboi in every situation seems to have such a clear picture in his head. This is what I need to do right now. I mean, TotalBiscuit, how many times did he just pull back and sit and macro in a position where most players would have attacked, and then Ghostwser tried to push and just lost it all?
Many, many times. And yet, you know, you see those critical strikes, surgical strikes by Drunkenboi. He'll take out a building here. He'll take out a base here. He'll clear out some drones here. And he'll always be where his opponent's not. And you've got Ghostwser trying to chase him down all over the place and gradually just being bled dry. I mean, there's a couple of those flanks that you pointed out that I think you're absolutely right were questionable. But I think Drunkenboi's kind of player that seems to just see the entire forest. He looks at the game from a very detached perspective and makes moves on a map-wide basis. And that's what we always see from him. We're not seeing incredible micro from Drunkenboi or anything like that. What we're seeing is strategy and pulling his opponent out of position. So
cool to see. Every single time Ghostwser attacked, there was a drop at the backside. And every time Drunkenboi needed to stay back and defend and be cautious, he was defending and being cautious and always having that drop ready to go, but not committing to it. And every time he was ready to actually gather everything together and go for it, he would just push his opponent into a bad spot and just drop the opposite side. I mean, it's easy to look at that game and say, man, Ghostwser did a bad job of defending those drops. Well, it was more Drunkenboi getting all of Ghostwser's units in the wrong position. Anytime they were up north, drop down south. Units move west, attack at the east. I mean, it was magnificent to watch.
It was really good. We're going to see if he can repeat that in Game 2. Ghostwser cannot be happy with that result. That, for many people, will be an upset, I feel. Let's see if it can continue. Break, folks, don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What an incredible Game 1. That was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, it was so cool because, I mean, so often the matchups fall along rails. Well, he builds this defense at this time, and then the other dude attacks, and he won, and there you go. And you've all sort of seen it. You know the standard attack timings, but there was nothing standard about that game. Goswser with the gas steal, going for roaches, and then not being able to attack because Drunkenboi went for one tank and then pulled back into a composition that should have been an attacking one, but he correctly didn't attack with it, and then nothing but amazing dropping start to finish. I mean, it was just a delight to watch.
That was a great game. Let's see if they can repeat that or whether it'll be a flash in the pan. We are ready to get started. Hopefully these guys are as well. And we are going into it pretty much right about now. Here we are. Bel'Shir Vestige will be the arena for this matchup. And we will be here right about now. There we go. We're in. Wonderful. Nice and smooth.
I feel like this is going to be a more tense version of Bel'Shir Beach. There's fewer bases. The fourth base for each player is critical. It defines all the strategy on this map.
Bel'Shir Beach, of course, a very chilled out place as well. Always nice to see that. I like to visit it in my holidays. Until it got wintry, and then it was like, well, if I wanted to be miserable and cold, I'll just go to Finland.
But people are awesome in Finland.
That's
and
very
people
true.
are out to kill you on Bel'Shir Beach.
Yeah, that's very, very true indeed. I think Finland has had some of the most memorable after-tournament drinking sessions that I can possibly imagine. I tried many things. I don't know what they were called. I couldn't pronounce them, but most of them were delicious. At least I think they were. It's hard to say. All right, folks. Here we are on Bel'Shir Vestige. This man right here just got upset. Let's see if he remains upset or whether he's able to get his mind in gear. He is.
Millennium.Goswser.
He's in the red trunks playing Zerg to the southeast. Versus his opponent, who is not messing around today. Absolutely not. He breaks out some phenomenal macro play and great decision making. Known for his cheese, and yet now able to put together a far more wholesome and delicious and nutritious recipe. He is
FXODrunkenboi.
Alright. So we're seeing gas here from Drunkenboi, of course. He's not walling off, which is interesting. Got that barracks slightly back.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I don't really mind this play. I think it only really makes sense if you're looking to build a tech structure that needs an add-on, and you have the barracks build that add-on, and you're trying to hide it. You know, if you're going for something like factory add-on, trying to hide the factory. So it looks like that's kind of what Drunkenboi might be intending to do. Could very well see some sort of very fast Hellbat drop as well. Actually, I probably would lean towards the fast Hellbat drop given this look. I mean, going for regular Hellions, I think is generally a little bit of a weaker play.
Yeah, I also think that when you're in this position, the best of 3, where you've taken that first game, this is the kind of time when you can afford to fall back on the build you're most comfortable with to try and eke out that 2-0 victory. And if it doesn't work, alright, cool. Learn from your mistake, you've still got a map.
So if he does want to go for that sort of play, he would immediately be constructing a refinery right now, but we're not quite seeing that, so it looks like he may very well be going for the Hellions, or the reactor play, I should say, but that still seems just a little bit odd to me. Oh, is he going to get this Overlord? Oh, God, Drunkenboi, yeah! This is so cool to see. I mean, it's kind of funny. Most people just build the 2 Marines because you can build the 2 Marines, but Drunkenboi doesn't think like that ever. He's just like, okay, well, I'm going to build the 2 Marines, and what can I do with these? Well, what are the angles of the Overlords? Let me try to kill those.
Yeah, he picked it off really nicely as well. Goswser's Overlord positioning is always stellar in pretty much every game he ever plays. So I guess the problem with that is that it can be exploited if you know your opponent pretty well. And he called that out really nicely.
Oh my God, he's going to be going for the factory double Hellion play. No, wait, what? He's going for the starport? Wait, what? Okay, I'm completely lost and confused. This is just a weak build in my eyes.
Oh, okay. Well,
never mind. Ignore me.
Alright, that's fine. Yeah, so Starport's coming in behind that, but yeah, double factory, double Hellion play would be nice. So that's very much a bit of a classic build there. Doesn't get used all that much recently, but...
Oh, Drunkenboi accidentally shot at his own Marine, which I thought was kind of funny. When the Zerglings arrived and tried to kite, he just aim-clicked on one of his Marines.
Yeah, well, Drunkenboi has revealed Hellions now, but he's not going to stick in Hellions. He's actually only built 2. Now he's swapping... What is he doing? I mean, this is a difficult thing to call. Now he's building a single Hellion to add on to that.
Yeah,
so it looks like he wants to do the Hellion drop.
Yeah, this is this mine drop play that you know, some players still try to do against Zerg.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm sorry, that's a Hellion. Okay,
Yeah, he is
yes.
building another Hellion. If he was building another mine, then it's like, oh yeah, cool. But it looks like he wants to do the 4 Hellion drop regardless. Maybe an elevation play or something? I don't know.
You know, honestly, the fact of the matter is that Ghost User is playing safe, playing stably, and will be in absolutely fantastic position, especially after this Roach Warren goes down. He's going to get himself another round of drones. He's stopped at like 10 Zerglings is perfect. 10 or 12, 14, something like that is great for dealing with these annoying little drops and buying a little bit of time. Drunkenboi, I think, does desperately need to get up a 3rd command center. Otherwise, this build just does not make a lot of sense.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be an elevation play because his medevac is full of Marines, so we'll most likely see the Marines drop in, and then he'll elevate the Hellions into the base. Overlord coverage will spot this pretty early, though. It spotted 1 Hellion. There we go. This has already been seen. There are no Roaches out yet, but there's going to be about 5, so this is 7. Wow, so this actually it could involve him then going across the map and just killing his opponent or doing some damage. But Drunkenboi is going in right now. Let's see how much economic damage he can really do. I don't think a lot. Not with the Roaches popping out.
The Roaches are inches from popping out. He's actually just going to sacrifice the Lings intentionally. He has his Roaches rallied. Oh!
That was a good shot. That was the second good shot.
2 amazing shots, 3 amazing shots, and Drunkenboi is even following up with the absolute money answer, just getting tanks on the back end. This attack should not have done very well. It really, truly should not have done that much damage. That was just Gosu User miscounting by a few seconds. But I mean, Drunkenboi, with everything, you know, even with everything I've said, I think this is a generally weak build. Drunkenboi is following it up perfectly. He is getting the siege tanks. You absolutely must do that. You cannot go for stim or mines or any of that sort of garbage. You must get something really potent against Roaches and Banelings, because those are the 2 things that can decimate this build's follow-up.
Now, there's a little bit of minutia that I'd like to talk about. Funnily enough, that Overlord kill may have very well allowed that to work, because for about 20 seconds, Gosu User was supply blocked at a time he shouldn't have been. Think about what that could have meant. And if he'd had those extra units, if that Roach Warren had gone down slightly earlier, that drop would have been completely shut down. But I don't know, maybe I'm giving Drunkenboi a little bit too much credit here. But I think that the circumstances aligned to allow that to do way more damage than it should have.
There's no doubt in my mind that contributed to the strength of that drop. Yeah. I do think that it would have, you know, manifested in the form of the Roaches being able to pop out a little bit earlier, maybe not getting the good angle. You know, the Hellions try to run around to get a good shot, and the Roaches pick off 1. Then he gets the shot off that kills maybe 8 workers, and then it's done then and there. But I mean, he killed off... How many workers did he kill off in that attack?
He killed
16?
11. So
wow. I mean, that's
a lot
more than you should be losing, yeah.
And this Viking, I love this choice. He has killed a bunch of Overlords with this Viking already. It's actually killed 3 Overlords, which is wonderful. It's such a great investment just to completely deny map control and scouting ability, because it forces your opponent to keep their Overlords in their base and not around the map where they can see drops coming.
Macro Hatch has to go down very soon by Ghost User. His big tool will be the Zerglings. He's up against a traditional Marine tanking player. I think Marine tank is fantastic in Heart of the Swarm. Bomber uses it regularly to ridiculous efficiency, just because tanks don't require any sort of siege mode, so you can both get tanks and really fast 1-1.
Drunkenboi now going in for the drop here, quick pickup. Kills a queen, leaves. Nice and simple. He could drop there, but you know the Spore Crawler's in range. That's probably gonna... No, it's slightly out of range. Drunkenboi with good drop control here, but this isn't gonna do much. He's got to leave. But you know, even just taking the queen out is great. It really is. That takes him down to 2 queens. 1 was away, spreading creep. That means that the injects are... They're still going, actually, because he was on top of those, but it slows things down a little bit. It's a nice little victory.
Mm-hmm. And wow, is Drunkenboi... Wow. We see him going for double factory now.
Armory coming down as well. And there's no 1-1 yet. Although he's going double engineering bay as well. He may decide to incorporate Hellbats in a little bit earlier there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Hellbat Marine is probably one of my favorite compositions in this matchup. It's very, very easy to do a composition like what we're seeing out of Drunkenboi, and then for the Zerg to go, oh, okay, well in that case, I'll be going heavy Muta Ling. And then you suddenly have a whole bunch of Hellbats, and it becomes very difficult to engage.
Ooh, this is a nice drop here by Drunkenboi. He forces a lot of mining time away, and he kills about 4 or 5 workers, and then drops the 3rd as well. There's nothing to stop him there. Ghost User's being picked to pieces here, and this is really uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah, I mean, normally GhostUser has amazing map vision, shuts down drops left and right, has everything prepared, but I actually think that GhostUser is literally having nerve issues.
Against Drunkenboi?
Nothing
You really
more.
think so? I mean, he comes in with all of this bravado, and most people would say GhostUser is the better player, and yet maybe he is rattled.
It's very unusual what rattles players and what doesn't. I mean, the fact of the matter is, GhostUser tends to play well when he is the severe underdog. In his series against MMA, MVP, and Bomber, all of which I saw, played phenomenally. Some of the best games I've ever seen him play are those games. But players like Thorzane have even said that they tend to get nervous if they're against a worse player, because they feel how intimidating it is to lose, or how embarrassing it would be. They feel like there's this pressure that they have to win.
Nice little maneuver here by Drunkenboi, allowing him to actually pick off a Mutalisk. He might even get a second one. You know, it's saying, alright, this drop is doomed. If I boost and then drop, the Mutalisks have two choices. Either they stop and let the medevac get away to pick off the Marines, or they chase that and they get dragged over bullets, which is not pleasant. So that was actually a great move. And now we're actually going to see an intense biomine play with drilling claws coming out from Drunkenboi here.
Yeah, same logic as trying to incorporate a couple of Hellbats. Mines are a lot better against, a lot of people think they're better against Mutiling in general, but they're especially ridiculously good against the Mutalisk portion of these compositions.
Oh man, that's a mass burrow. Oh, big connection. Doesn't get as much as it could have, but that hit a lot of Banelings. That was nasty. But it did trigger all the mines, so there's no mines available for the next 40 or so seconds now.
Drunkenboi really does not have that many Marines in this situation, but God, GhostUser is just being astoundingly disorganized in this position. Desperately needs to get it together.
Those Marines are chasing roaches. Like, this isn't really supposed to happen, but they're doing their job quite nicely. I guess that's what happens when you give them bayonets. They get delusions of grandeur.
Like you do. You never want to give someone a bayonet too young, because then they'll begin taking over the world at a very young age.
It's very true. A building went down there. That is unfortunately something I did miss because we're following that, but there was definitely a building dying. I'm not really sure which one it was.
That was Baneling Nest.
Baneling Nest. All right, well, that's nice. That's really, really nice. He's going to work on the macro hatch now and actually get sieged up. He doesn't even care about killing this creep. He's just like, I'm on the creep. I don't care. And unfortunately, that's going to really cost him.
Yeah, this seems like a very risky angle from Drunkenboi. He luckily is going to be able to take this down without having too much of a negative exchange. The medevacs will get out, but gosh, Drunkenboi, look at the natural expansion. Has a big old pack of Marine mine medevac already prepped and ready to rock.
Well, he's going to lose a few medevacs here. There's no real doubt about that. GhostUser managing to pick off one. He's probably not going to get the second one unless he decides to dive right into the base. Oh, that was a misclick, certainly. That allowed that one to die. Now the flank comes in. Now, he lost 5 Widow Mines because his control just wasn't quite good enough. He was moving them towards the third base, didn't realize he got surrounded and lost all 5 of them. He could have borrowed and done a lot of damage there. I still like the Drilling Claws play, and I also like the upgrade-heavy play here from Drunkenboi as he goes into 2-2. His opponent right now is sitting on good upgrades as well, though. He does have that lead, but the Mutalisk count is nowhere near as high as I would have expected at this stage.
No,
Surround
the
coming
mines get decent connections.
Mutually assured destruction there, I think.
Drunkenboi is going to have to head all the way back home. He's going to lose absolutely everything. I mean, Drunkenboi, his strength is not in his small-scale micromanagement. It's in these tactical engagements, choosing when and where to set them up. I mean, that mine connection is good. It will cause some delays, but thus far, Drunkenboi is just down to, it looks like 0 mines. 2 mines just now popped out. I mean, I really think the GhostUser is starting to pull it together and get that edge.
Drunkenboi's trying to take the Spire down here. Oh, he might get it. He might get it. Ah, down it goes. That's a nice little snipe. And now we're seeing that Drunkenboi play, but GhostUser's adapting much better to it. Drunkenboi now making his way towards the third base. There's already a defense in place, so there's no way that's really going to do anything. He can flank towards the fourth and do some damage, but he isn't going to kill it. That's just not going to happen. So the surround comes in. There's the pickup, and nicely out there. So GhostUser is way more on top of this style now. He's now taking a Hive. He's getting Pathogen Glands as well. So he's going to have that upgrade lead. As soon as Hive finishes, I would expect to see 3-3. And does he have the gas for that? Yes, he does. So if he kicks in 3-3...
Oh,
a lot of units.
Looks like he might even get the second medevac. And it looks like the Marines and mines are also trying to engage. And it looks like, yes, GhostUser does get the second medevac. Drunkenboi and GhostUser giving us a show, TotalBiscuit. This is awesome.
They really want those tips, man, and if you want to give them money for this particular performance, shoutcraft.com is the place to do that. Click the tip jar. Even a couple of bucks is very much appreciated. We've even got some players actually responding to each tip, saying thank you, and so on and so forth. That's really, really cool to see from the community. I think you guys are awesome. Now we're seeing Drunkenboi try to drop again, but GhostUser is way on top of it this time. He's got great creep spread. He's over halfway across the map right now. He's actually spreading towards his opponent, Selnaga Watchtower. We've still got a 3-base Terran versus a 4-base Zerg here, and Drunkenboi can continue to pick off tech structures, but I am worried that this style from him is starting to lose steam.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is the sort of traditional biomine play.
Yeah.
This is the sort of style that, if you're in GhostUser's shoes, you're going to have a ton of experience against. This is pretty much what all Terrans are doing on the ladder right now.
Yeah.
You know the angles to engage, you know how to rebuild, you know what's possible. There's the drop in the main base. Drunkenboi doing a good job with that again. And it looks like, wow, GhostUser is going to just let it happen. Tries to pick off all these units. The main is getting decimated right now, but the mines are in a very awkward position. Oh, Zergling connections. Oh, this is bad news for Drunkenboi's army. But where's the rest of GhostUser's stuff?
It's all committed. It's all committed to defend the 4th, and that 4th actually goes down. Drunkenboi somehow has enough to make this work. He's equalized the upgrade count, which will have helped a lot, and then tries to split against this. He's fighting scrappily here, but so is GhostUser. Down goes another. This hive is very close to dying. GhostUser GG's!
What?
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 Oh my god! That is an upset and a half. Good lord.
Unbelievable. GhostUser is the player to drop down, and Drunkenboi charges through. I think, it was really that last engagement where I think GhostUser was just finally starting to stabilize, finally getting the good angle, and then I think it was just one too many frustrating drops back to back to back, and he just typed out.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his supply towards the end of it, you can't really blame him. It looked like those mines weren't really doing the job, right? Because the problem with mines when you use a lot of them is they have a tendency to all fire off at once if they're in a clump like that, and then they end up just hitting stuff around them and not actually efficiently engaging. Microing all those mines, of course, when you're also trying to move Marines is godlike level control, which is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, those mines didn't engage all that well, but it seemed like it was just enough. And then you had the great Marine splitting, lots of medevacs, the upgrade equalization, maybe, just maybe, GhostUser's thinking to himself, well, all those engagements I just had, I did so well. I was rocking it. I was engaging efficiently. Then the upgrades equalize before 3-3 kicks in, and suddenly those Marines are actually punching just above their weight now, whereas before they were struggling to even stay in the ring. And I think perhaps maybe that had something to do with it. But one way or the other, Drunkenboi putting on a stellar performance.
Yeah, that was very unorthodox connecting of various pieces of strategies. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the early Hellion drop plays or the mine plays or, tank defense, but he seems to flow between things that shouldn't exactly work properly together, but makes it all work great. That does mean that he now advances to the next round of ShoutCraft America.
Drunkenboi he is our first Terran here in the round of 8. And he, I think, proves without a shadow of a doubt today that he deserves to be there. Like, that was unbelievably impressive. It really was. And, well, I think he just shut up everyone that said this guy only knows one-base cheese. That is just amazing.
Wow, well, it does mean our next match is going to be Hendralisk versus Neeb, two players who are regulars in the big competitions such as the WCS Challenger League. So another TBZ coming up, but I don't think it'll look anything like the series we just saw.
No, that was crazy TBZ. That was just inspiring play by Drunkenboi. It really was so impressive. Now we're going to see Hendralisk versus Neeb. So Neeb takes punishment in TBT, but he's feeling pretty good about his Terran versus Zerg. Doesn't have to fight against GhostUser yet, but GhostUser is basically now the final boss of this group. So someone is going to have to go into it. Will it be another Zerg versus Zerg to finish it off with Hendralisk advancing, or will it be Neeb, who maybe gets the chance to double FXO kill that... I mean, one of the guys who, as far as I'm concerned, was one of the favorites to win the tournament. That's crazy. It's nuts. It's cats and dogs living together, man. I don't know how we're going to cope with this, but one way or the other, we'll be going into the next game in a few minutes' time. We need setup time. We're going to get the interview on. We're going to get Neeb and Hendralisk both ready to talk to each other and get ready for the combat. You are watching ShoutCraft America. My name is TotalBiscuit.
And I'm Day9. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, You're as stunned as I am, and I don't blame you. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.